Hello, everyone. I am Anil Rao, and this is my story of how I healed ulcerative colitis with a lot of support and guidance from Smita. A bit of personal info. I'm 43 years old, married with a 9-year-old son and a 3-year-old daughter. I work in the technology sector and I live in the UK. I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, I would say about 5 years ago, in around September, October 2017. Immediately after the diagnosis, I was put on two types of medicines, tablets, one called mesalazine, which was 3 times a day, a 400 mg tablet, and a steroids called prednisolone, in case of any flare-ups. If you don't know, ulcerative colitis is a type of an autoimmune gut condition. There's no cure in the Western medicine. It's one of many irritable bowel disease syndromes, irritable bowel disease, IBDs, which is caused mainly by the inflammation, at least in the case of ulcerative colitis, is caused by inflammation in the large intestine or colon. It also causes, or rather leads to a lot of other digestive issues, food intolerances, etc., etc. It's a major lifestyle altering condition. As I said, in the Western medicine, there's absolutely no cure. And this is my story, as I said, and this story has a happy ending. So that's the good news, and you can do too. You can heal this bad condition as well. As of December 2021, I'm fully healed. I haven't had any flare-ups. My gut health is the best I've ever experienced. For the people out there suffering from ulcerative colitis or any digestive health condition, there's definitely light at the end of the tunnel. I'll try to explain through this short recording how I healed ulcerative colitis and how Smita guided me through the process. So back in August 2017, we as a family were on a flight to Greece on a holiday when this horrible thing struck. For the next week or so during the holiday, I had constant rectal bleeding with my bowels. Obviously, I had no clue what was going on. For the next few months, August to October, I went through various tests and was finally recommended a colonoscopy, which confirmed the condition. The doctor said I have to be on medication for the rest of my life. For those who have this condition know it's a debilitating disease, which, as I said, which drastically alters your lifestyle. Long story short, I was on medication, like I said, 3 tablets a day, and immediately was put on steroids, which is usually taken to sort of control the flare-ups. UC and other IBDs, or irritable bowel diseases, are cyclical in nature, which means you go through a relapse and a remission cycle. The tablets are really to prolong the remission phase, and the steroids are to shorten the relapse phase. So for the first 12 months, since I started the medication, 12 months or so, the medicines worked perfectly as expected. I didn't have a relapse for about a year. I was on normal diet and so on, just living my life as I did in the past, before this condition struck me. So it was all hunky-dory, right? So I thought, I was on top of the world. This was just a temporary thing, and so on and so forth. Happy days. But then it hit me really hard. As I said, throughout I didn't change a thing on my diet as recommended by the doctor. after about 2 years, um, I think it was early 2020 when we all obviously went through the COVID phase in our lives. I had a sudden reckoning. I had a sudden reckoning, a very strong feeling that I should do something about it because the flare-up started to become really serious, and more prolonged, more frequent, and to the point where the remission wasn't really in sight. I was living with bloody bowels on a everyday basis. So around March, April 2020, I started doing some rigorous research on alternative methods of healing UC. And I came across this book called Self-Healing Colitis and Crohn's by a gentleman called David Klein. If you don't know this book, it basically recommends a rigorous fruit and veg diet, and even provides a lot of ideas around the different breakfast, lunch, and dinner regimes. I bought myself a juicer to get started on the journey. Started with celery, then added apples, and so on and so forth. I ate steamed vegetables for lunch and dinner. But it's not what I started doing, but it's what I hadn't given up. So I was still having dairy, coffee, bread, and even a lot of grains. Ghee was very much part of my diet, especially with those steamed vegetables. So, I was hopeful. I thought I was following the right regime. I thought obviously I'd read the book and I thought I was on the right path. But even after 8 months on this diet, there was absolutely no progress. Still going through bloody bowels, digestion difficulties, etc., etc. And in November 2020, the situation turned from bad to worse. I had the most severe relapse, with excessive bleeding. Mentally, I was at a very low point. I knew I had to do something more to get a grip on the condition, but had no idea what else I could do. Now that is when my wife Shilpa suggested we should talk to Smita. So we had our first session with Smita at the end of December 2020, when she explained, her own experiences, how she fought some of the severe illnesses, and was able to heal herself through holistic healing methods that is grounded in sort of a natural diet based on fruit and veg. And so on. Obviously, to me, the concept wasn't new, right? As I had already started experimenting with it. But what Smita brought was a completely different level of mentorship and guidance, a constant source of motivation, if you will. Always giving the confidence that it is the right path to healing. She also gave me a long list of things to do, and what not to do, including the types of juices to consume, etc., etc. So I started on a juice-only diet, and this was a major shift for me because in the previous process I followed, I was eating all sorts of things, right? I mean, juice was just like once a day. But this time, with Smita's guidance, completely shifted to a juice diet starting 1st Jan 2021, and followed it rigorously for the next 8 weeks. So it was only juice, nothing else. Naturally, there were some very anxious moments. I started to lose weight drastically. Obviously, the body was going through, some profound changes. So Smita was always, always there. She was only a phone call away to provide all the required support. I lost about 15 kilos in a matter of 6 weeks, causing a lot of panic and alarm bells, only for Smita to turn around and say that, it's just normal and that I'm on the right path. And it was just that the body was going through an extreme detoxification process. My body was shedding all the toxic matter that had accumulated over the years. If you've spoken to Smita, she would have explained this to you in a lot more detail. So at the end of about 8 weeks, I started slowly on a solid diet, with hot soups and steamed vegetables and some soft fruits like papaya. As a blessing in disguise, I spent about 3 weeks around this time in India, which was a blessing. And for those in India, we all know that we have access to plenty of variety of fruits and vegetables. So especially ashgard and watermelon and all sorts of fruits and greens even, and vegetables, right? So I personally credit this stage definitely with accelerating the healing. And I think about by April 2021, I had healed, but I had one more relapse later on, slightly later on in the year. But this time it was very mild. But then it did last for about 6 months. It was probably stress-induced with COVID and other things going on at the time. But then this time again, I went into remission very quickly. It lasted about 4 to 6 months, and I think it was in December 2021. So I went back into remission. So, and since then I haven't had any relapses. So in the last 4 years, this is the longest remission stage I've had. I generally feel very good mentally and physically. I've gained about 6 to 7 kilos. So overall, a very positive outcome, I would say. I personally think that I have fully healed my condition. It is in the rearview mirror. So I just want to leave you all with a few key takeaways for those who are going through this process, having questions on whether it's the right path and so on and so forth. Trust me, natural healing based on juicing and fruit and veg, I think is the only path for many people like us who suffer from these lifestyle-induced conditions. In addition, embracing a new lifestyle, with a diet that is gluten-free, dairy-free, no spice, no meat, lower levels of grains, etc., etc. All the stuff that Smita usually tells us are all the right things to do. It is critical to staying healthy and keeping those painful relapses at bay. Having someone like Smita to guide us through the journey, I think is absolutely important. We will go through, a mix of emotions, strong self-doubts, a lot of questions about the, whether it's the right path, question marks on, what are the chances to success, etc., etc. In all of this, it is important to trust the process, trust the guru, that is Smita in this case, and the God Almighty, of course. It may take longer for some, but I can tell you that it works. Now, once you've gone through the healing process, it is important to sustain the new lifestyle. In my case, I have noticed that my body is much more forgiving now than before. I can indulge in, an occasional cake or a chocolate, without risking a relapse. God forbid, even if I even if I have a relapse, I know I can overcome it. So, not only following the process through the healing journey, but also sustaining it after you've healed is absolutely important and critical as well. And finally, I just want to say thank you to Smitha, for being part of my journey and for being part of so many others' journey, who are battling these nasty health conditions. I'd like to end by saying good luck to everybody that is, sort of battling these and fighting these nasty illnesses. As I said, and as I've explained in my story here, that there's definitely light at the end of the tunnel. You can absolutely do it. Follow the process, trust Smitha, and you will be able to succeed. And good luck and all the best.